welcome to the Sleep is a Skill podcast. We're recording live here at Biohackers World. I am Mollie Eastman, founder of Sleep is a Skill, and I am delighted to have Nurse Doza here with us today. Such a rock star. We might as well jump right into the beginning of how in the world did you become such an expert in your field, and how does it bridge the gap into sleep?
I feel honored that I'm an expert. It wasn't an easy route.
Yes.
But I said years ago that I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
And the best way to do it is to educate. So I decided that my platform was going to be providing education as a loving service, and I'll make a living off of that.
Right.
Chiropractic, family nurse practitioner is my actual credentials, but I help people with weight loss, hormones, inflammation, gut issues, maybe pain, right?
Sure.
And so because of that, and because I look at a bigger picture when it comes to how do I help them maintain the weight loss, how do I help them balance the hormones in 30 years, sleep is right in there. And so sleep, is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing when it comes to your health, and we were designed to do it. However, including myself, I didn't know how to practice it the right way, how to develop it into a skill set, and now that's all I talk about with my clients.
So great. Yeah. Okay, I love that you have put such an emphasis on sleep. And so when you're working with your clients, what are some of the most common things that you're seeing that people are struggling with their sleep, and kind of how do you begin when sleep is on the table as a big symptom?
So I asked the question about sleep before, and I would say to my clients, how's your sleep?
Yeah.
Which is too broad of a question. You know this too.
Right.
So I say, the question now is, do you stay asleep all night? And they say, oh, of course not. I wake up throughout the night. And then, you can wake up periodically, and go back to sleep. So I have to deep dive, well, do you go to the bathroom? Or you fall asleep right afterwards? Do you fall asleep right away when you lay in bed at night? How long does it take you to fall asleep at night? When you wake up, do you feel refreshed?
Sure.
Do you wake up and have a bowel movement right afterwards? And is it a healthy bowel movement? Because you slept all night, which detoxed your body, and the first thing in the morning was a brain dump. So then you look at the sleep, part of their daily routine, which is 8 to 10 hours, right? And you just say okay, what does your nighttime darkness look like? What does your Sunday or sunlight during the day look like? What does your neurotransmitter production look like? Are you inflamed? What does your nervous system look like? And so in order to prepare for better sleep, I have to tell everyone it's not just at 9 p.m. falling asleep. You have to prepare for it at 9 a.m. when you wake up. And that's the bigger picture.
That is the bigger picture. A couple of the things that you pointed to, which I think potentially people listening might be well, how will I know about neurotransmitter? How does that look? What is our nervous system function looking like? How do you help them ascertain the answers to that?
You're wearing an Oura ring.
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been wearing that?
I have been wearing this for years. A good, I don't even know, 6-7 years, something like that.
6-7 years.
Yeah.
Religiously measuring your data in real time and getting up the next day and adjusting it.
Yeah.
Right? One of the first things you probably look at is your app. What was my sleep look like? Right?
Totally.
I know it, right? Okay. Yeah. So I've always done blood work.
Yeah.
I've always done urinalysis, stool samples. I can do EKGs, EEGs of the brain. But when the Oura ring came out, I wasn't paying attention to the Apple Watch because everyone's using it for calories, right? And phone calls. I even had one. I was I don't care.
Yeah.
But someone says, this Oura ring, do you know about it? And I'm what do you use it for? They're well, I use it to track my sleep. And I said, track your sleep. Tell me more.
Yeah.
So you start looking at it and you break it down and you say there's REM sleep, there's deep sleep, there's hours of sleep. Then you have measurements. I use BioStrap, right? So BioStrap will use BioStrap. Sleep efficiency. And I'm what does that mean?
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm actually quality sleep? What does quality sleep look like? So all of a sudden, my interpretation of sleep just from a wearable device opened up. And so I started looking at sleep in a whole nother light, and I started having people who religiously measure their sleep. It wasn't doctors. It was people just like you saying, I don't feel good. I got this thing to help me sleep better, thinking that I'll feel better if I get better sleep. And based off of what I do during the day, my activity during sleep at night is affected.
Yeah.
I had one gentleman tell me that says, I can't eat sugar before I go to bed now because it wrecks my deep sleep.
Yeah.
So I went and looked at mine. I said, sure enough, that does it to me. I got to cut out sugar before I go to bed at night because I don't want it to wreck my deep sleep pattern.
So the behavioral change shifts, the gamification of the numbers that are coming back on these wearable devices. And to your point, it can be a multitude. It could be BioStrap, it could be Whoop, it could be Aura, Garmin, etc. And so whatever we're doing, hopefully you would often recommend for people to be tracking. Are there any caveats for that?
So the deep sleep is one piece of how your body's functioning, right? So let's say that you wanted a doctor or a nurse practitioner on your wrist, on your finger, telling you how healthy you are. That's what the Aura is. That's what the Apple Watch is. That's what BioStrap is, etc.
Yeah.
So let's say as a practitioner, I can do labs and they're objective data on you, which means they're unbiased. It's not my opinion. It's what the labs say. Well, it's the same thing goes with your Aura ring.
Yeah.
So let's say you come in and you lie to me about how good your sleep's been.
Totally.
No, it's been
We see
great.
that all the time.
And I
Oh
say,
my
well, let's
God.
see your numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And they submit, well, I have, because I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
You have a sleep score. You have a resting heart rate. You have a heart rate variability.
Yep.
Right. And then you also have breath rate. So you essentially have all the vital signs for the human body minus of like, a blood pressure, which I'm not a huge fan of measuring anymore. But let's say I want to look at someone's overall health. Like in real time, I could say how healthy this individual is. All I have to do is look at their sleep and their heart rate variability.
Yes.
And there's a correlation between both. When your heart rate variability goes up, your deep sleep goes up too. Because your heart rate variability is not actually your time in between heartbeats. What it is a measurement of your stress response in your body. And so our good friend Don Moxley told us this. He said, look, if you have a HRV above 70, your body's in a relaxed rest and digest mode, the parasympathetic aspect of your nervous system. When you wear your wearables during the day, you notice your HRV goes down. And the more stressed you are, the lower it goes. If you look at night, HRV should be higher, along with deep sleep, right? So then I say, okay, I don't care what you're doing. I can just look at your wearable data, and it can tell me exactly what you're doing, and then I'll match it up with your calendar, and I can see, based off your deep sleep and HRV, how stressed you've been lately in your life and how it's affecting your health. And then, because it's objective data, especially guys don't question this.
Yeah.
Guys will question everything. I'll question chiropractic, I'll question fasting. But the second you get wearable data on them, they're like, oh, I have to do this now. I have to go by. I mean, this is religious
I see
now.
that all the time.
Right?
Yes.
Especially with corporate.
Oh, 100%. Suddenly there's kind of a game to be played. There are components, and you can see on a routine basis keeping you in the game because you're waking up to your point, and many people are looking at these numbers, and then they get to reflect on, oh, how did that wine last night serve me? How did the THC
serve me? So it's funny. So I deal with weight loss all the time, right? And so I've had to expand. I think someone asked that earlier. How do you expand the way you approach nutrition and weight loss now as opposed to earlier? Well, you have to include sleep now. I wasn't including sleep before, okay? So I can make the case that you gain weight by having sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
You can literally say, I've gained 5 or 10 pounds in the last month because my sleep sucks. There's not one doctor prescribing semaglutide that's associating sleep deprivation with weight gain. But I could also say high blood pressure is from lack of sleep. Right?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. And sleep disorders.
Sleep disorders.
Totally.
You could make the case you're going to get dementia, cancer, diabetes, and heart disease by simply not sleeping enough. And how many prescriptions are there actually for sleep? Let's look at the prescriptions for sleep. So I used to be in pain management, and one of the prescriptions that was commonly prescribed was Ambien. It doesn't put you to sleep. It makes you a zombie to where you think you're asleep, and you start dialing QVC in the middle of the night, and you're like, how did I get here? And I'm like, you need quality sleep. I think, like you can go 11 days before you die without sleep.
There was the old case of the DJ in New York City years back who stayed up for, I want to say it was over 10 nights or somewhere in the realm of around 10 days into almost 10 nights. And the symptoms that he was dealing with were really, really concerning by the end of that. Yeah.
Well, it's a known carcinogenic to have a night shift.
Yeah.
Like the CDC has said, if you work a night shift, you're closer to getting cancer.
Yeah.
And how many night shift nurses are there, with fluorescent lights underneath eating cafeteria food or the gray, like we know this, right? So how should we approach health when it comes to the epidemics that we're dealing with now? Obesity, diabetes, every 65 seconds, someone in this country is diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and there's zero cures, zero effective cures. But what the actual cure of Alzheimer's is sleep. So we say, how do we approach sleep from a very different perspective? You go all in. You get wearable devices for every single person. You get blood work for every single person. You get a Tempur-Pedic mattress, right? That's what corporate thinks.
Yeah.
But you know what corporate did? They bought Fitbits for everyone,
Yeah.
and no one used them.
Right.
They bought special mattresses, and people went to bed hungover or drunk on it.
Yeah.
And you say, you didn't do any of the stuff. No, we're using all the stuff you gave us. We're just not changing the lifestyle.
Yes.
And that's where people's sleep gets wrecked. It's lifestyle.
Right. And then that nocebo effect, and then they're over it because they're waking up to these poor scores. They don't know what to do about it, and now they're just kind of resigned or what have you.
It's like a debt you'll never pay off.
Yeah. Oh,
You
totally.
can't ever catch up on sleep. That's why people, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, well, let's look at the brainwave activity when you're sleeping. Your brain doesn't stop working. In fact, it's working harder probably.
There's
right?
a lot going on
There's
there.
a lot
Yes.
going on. So let's talk about neurotransmitters.
Yes,
talked
thank
about
you. That was going to be my next
So let's look at melatonin, for example.
Okay.
So melatonin is an antioxidant as well as a neurotransmitter as well as a hormone.
Yeah.
And it's only made when we're really sleeping. It's probably the most powerful antioxidant our body makes outside of glutathione. Now, when you think about the brain, the pineal gland, as the main producer of melatonin, one thing I do know is that our lifestyle can disrupt the production of melatonin while we sleep at night. One of the biggest culprits of this is Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
which you can talk about all the time. So imagine I have to get clients, like you do, to put their phone on airplane mode.
Yeah.
The reason I switched to I start with BioStrap is because it's airplane mode at night. I don't want Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Because I know Bluetooth disrupts my melatonin production. It's science.
Yeah.
Just all it is. Okay. So then I say, if I want better sleep, I need better production of melatonin. Hence, I turn my phone off and put it in the other room. Take it a step further. Melatonin's precursor is serotonin. Okay. Now, sunlight in the morning is the way you get more melatonin at night. So if you miss out on sunlight when you first wake up in the morning, which most people do,
Yes.
they're not going to get very good production at night of melatonin. So you say sunlight first thing in the morning, understand that will get you a little bit of serotonin production, but most people are deficient. In addition to deficiency of dopamine.
Yeah.
So what happens is sunlight raises it a little bit, but B vitamins will raise it up even more. So you imagine you get up sunlight in the morning, you get some B vitamins, all of a sudden serotonin's higher, right? Next thing you know, that serotonin throughout the day eventually will convert into melatonin because the same place that made the serotonin now makes melatonin at night with darkness.
Yes.
But if the person missed out on sunlight in the morning, they missed out on melatonin at night. So there's the second aspect of lifestyle. I have to get people to wake up with a morning routine that serves their sleep routine at night. And our podcast for our sleep routine the week before was the morning routine because you have to start the morning routine before the sleep routine.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that even in and of itself can be so life-changing for so many people because so many of the individuals struggling with their sleep are focusing and often fixated on the nights. And how do I optimize the nights? What sleep stack do I take? All the things.
I know.
And I'm assuming you're not in that direction too much. Or maybe you have certain components.
I'll tell you this. Elias gave me some blue blockers 2 years ago at our festival.
Yeah.
And he said, here, just take these.
Yeah.
I was like, cool. They were BioChef.
Yes,
as well.
I remember those.
Okay.
Those were still kicking around for me. Yeah.
I still have them
Yeah.
because at nighttime when I have the laptop, I saw you put the red lights on in your refrigerator.
Yes.
Okay. So I put the blue blockers on while I'm staring at blue screen at night.
Totally.
And it helps my sleep at night.
Yeah.
I know my HRV. It's better. Deep sleep's better when I wear my blue blockers.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I do this at night,
Yes.
right? I put my phone in inverted mode in black at night, so then it's not white.
Yes.
And that's more cortisol production,
Yeah.
which suppresses melatonin. So if you think about melatonin, go back to it. Hormones balance off one another. Serotonin will affect melatonin production, but so does cortisol. Cortisol is also increased with sunlight first thing in the morning. However, if cortisol is elevated, melatonin is suppressed.
Yeah.
So at nighttime, melatonin suppresses cortisol, unless you have too much cortisol to suppress the ability for you to even make melatonin. So you imagine at 9 p.m. at night is the sweet spot for everyone. What are people doing at 9 p.m. at night?
Ugh, I know, exactly.
You know what they're doing.
They're on the phones, they're watching the TVs, they're on their laptops, they're stressing out, they're drinking,
They're eating.
They're eating, yes.
They're not
all the
doing
things.
anything healthy.
Yeah.
Seriously, at 9 p.m. at night, no, and honestly, I'd make the case, unless you're going to the gym at 9 a.m., you're probably not doing very healthy things at 9 a.m. either.
Yeah.
Unless you get up early and say, I'm going to make the most of this morning routine. And then the nighttime routine is, I used to be an insomniac.
Yes. No, I did too.
Okay.
That was my
That's
whole
why-
rock bottom.
Okay, my
Yeah.
rock bottom was I had a nervous breakdown, and after I got done, I couldn't go to sleep. And I'm
Yes,
walking around outside in my backyard with the full moon. I'll never forget. I'm walking around barefoot. I'm like, how am I going to go to sleep tonight? Like, how am I going to go to sleep tonight? And you know this
Scary, yeah.
feeling. It's just the worst.
Yeah.
Ants are crawling up your legs and your back, and you're just like, I'm going
Yes.
to pull my skin off.
Yeah. That was me.
That was okay.
Yeah.
So then one day I went to this workout, and this guy comes up to me and he goes, "You don't know how to breathe." And I said, "Well, I do snore." And he goes, "Yeah, you're a mouth breather." And I said, "Tell me more." He goes, "Look, you can't relax your belly. All your breath is going into your chest. You can't relax your stomach." I said, "Is this why I can't relax at all?" He goes, "Yeah. You don't know how to relax. You don't know how to breathe. And that's how you relax."
So true.
I said, "Oh my God, what do I do?" He goes, "Practice belly breathing." So my science mode is like, "Oh, diaphragmatic breathing and relax."
Yeah.
And everyone, the yogis are like, "Dude, Ujjayi breath, bro." And I'm like, "Nose breathing?
Yeah.
Savasana? Legs on the wall?" And then all of a sudden I'm prescribing legs on the wall, belly breathing, rule of 4 for better sleep. Here you go. No more Ambien.
So
Here you go. No
good.
more Nuvidual.
Yeah.
Right? And here's adrenal support. Right? Oh, you're inflamed all the time. You can't go to sleep at night. Do a liver detox.
Yes.
Right? So then you imagine nutrition has to be incorporated into sleep.
Yes.
If you're talking neurotransmitters, just assume everyone's vitamin D deficient and they're B vitamin deficient, which means they are not making enough serotonin, dopamine, cortisol, or melatonin.
Yeah.
And you imagine you have to do something to take it. Like, for example, I think I have it right here. So I have supplements. Here, you can have this one.
Oh.
So this is our Bliss. You might have taken this. This is the one you put under the tongue.
Oh, yes. I think
Okay,
I've
so
had
this
this.
is SAMe and trimethylglycine. This makes neurotransmitters, especially for people with MTHFR issues.
Yes.
I have people who take this at night because it makes them melatonin at night. Then I have people who take this in the morning because it makes them serotonin in the morning.
Got it.
So you think like, well, should I take melatonin every night? What if you made it on your own?
Right. Ugh,
That's the goal.
game-changing.
That's the
That
goal.
is the goal.
Yeah.
Real quick, the liver detox you mentioned. I'm wondering if you can just point a little bit. I'm sure that's a whole conversation in and
Sure.
of itself. But is that something that you're often having people doing? So if people are listening and they're like, "Well, I haven't done a liver detox," what might that look like?
It's what you're holding in your hand. That
Just
Bliss.
this one.
That's
This is the move.
Well, that's
Okay.
one of them, right? So
One of
you
them.
imagine every one of our supplements, our vitamin IVs,
Yes.
supports the liver because
Okay.
every single nutrient, vitamin, supplement supports the liver. It's going to go through the liver for crying out loud, right? It's stored in the liver. I learned this about the liver. It detoxes the brain. There's only 2 things that detox the brain: the liver and sleep. 1 in 4 people in this country have a fatty liver, and how many people in this country? I think at least 40% have sleep disruption.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's probably higher. It's probably 70.
And
It's
that's
probably that's what they-
speculations. Yeah, exactly.
So then I say their brains are melting, their livers are shot, and then there's also hormone issues, gut issues, all this. So I'm like, okay, everyone should be doing a liver detox every day. Yes.
Yeah.
You imagine Bliss. I take Bliss every day. I take Liver Boost every day. I take NAC every day. I take B9 every day. I take vitamin D every day. Is that liver detox? I'm like, it is. The NAC, turmeric, milk thistle, phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidylserine, alpha lipoic acid. We use all these for the brain. We can also use it for the liver. Phosphatidylcholine is usually used as a nootropic,
Yeah.
right? Stimulation helps the brain synapse.
Yeah.
It detoxifies the liver. And choline deficiency is fatty liver disease as well as Alzheimer's.
Yes.
There's a brain liver connection. I'm about to talk about it here in an hour. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't talk about the brain without talking about the liver.
Oh, so good. Okay. I feel like we need like a part 2.
Yep.
So maybe this can be a good spot to begin to transition to how you're managing your own sleep. But before we do that, is there anything else you want to say on the topic of sleep and how you think about it uniquely?
Your adrenal glands are what's going to affect your sleep. Now, your HRV, if it's higher, it means your adrenal glands are pretty much restored and they're recovering and they're doing their job.
Yeah.
If your HRV is below 30, you're headed to burnout mode.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like your nervous system is fried. You're in sympathetic mode. You're flight or fight mode. Your blood pressure and your heart rate are above 100, right? Like, and so you're like, my HRV is low. My resting heart rate's high. That's inverted. It should be the other way around. So imagine you say, I'm going to take supplements, do diet, do lifestyle, take adrenal support, do belly breathing, legs on the wall, so it can lower my heart rate before I go to bed, and that's when I go to bed.
Yeah.
I can't go to bed with my heart rate at 90. I have to be around 40 or 50.
Totally. And that's one of the things I'm loving about both Whoop and Oura Ring's daytime stress monitor. If
Yep.
you're a fan of that, it's been interesting because we'll see how many people have that kind of signature delayed cortisol pulse that's just coming up. That stress response it's like the opposite of what we want to see. So it's like flatline and then up into
you're
the
right.
night, right?
You're right. So you just made me think of this.
Yeah.
I know there's no study, but we're going to just assume this is the case. Let's correlate high cortisol with
Yeah.
low HRV. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
So if your HRV is low, your cortisol is too high, there's no way you can get a good night's rest. You need to raise your HRV so you can lower your cortisol.
Yes, totally. Oh, mic drop right there. Okay. So shifting gears to what we can learn about how you're managing your own sleep. Clearly, you've thought deeply about this and you dealt with your own sleep struggles and have been able to come out on the other side, which is what so many people want to know. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. So our first question is, how are you managing your nightly sleep routine right now?
A wearable device has changed my whole approach towards sleep. I mean, there's no other way around it. It's worth the investment. And honestly, you're going to use it way more than you think. Like, seriously. So a wearable device will change your approach to sleep, and it holds you accountable. So I'm a big fan of it. And then also, it changed the way I eat.
Me too.
So I love sugar.
Yeah.
I love sugar. I love salty stuff.
Me
right?
too. Yeah.
And I love eating them at night.
Yep. That was one of my biggest shifts. I used to be a popcorn fiend, the salty, the savory. Oh my God, late into the night. Oh,
now, here's the thing. The word addiction gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
In my clinic, addiction is not a bad word. You're addicted to sleep.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so then I say, well, you don't emphasize sleep the way you should. It's not like you're drinking sleep all night, you know, or before during the day. So, okay, how do we approach, you know, the diet and sleep? Okay, so I know sugar is bad for my insulin and it's bad for my blood glucose. When I raise my blood glucose, I'm a diabetic, I have heart disease, dementia, cancer risk, and I don't live as long. Sugar in anything pretty much raises blood sugar, but at nighttime, if I'm eating sugar at 9 p.m., I will have a sugar crash 45 minutes later because of an insulin spike, and I will fall asleep on the couch and wake up on the couch at 1 a.m. And you know what happens? I don't have my wearable device on, but guess what? I put it on just to see how bad my sleep is.
Yes.
When I wake up and go to bed at 1 a.m. from a sugar crash at 9 p.m., my HRV never goes above 40 or 50.
Totally.
It's like I missed a whole night of sleep. And it says, you won't play catch up. So then I said, I have to stop eating sugar at nighttime. Otherwise, I wake up in the middle of the night having a sugar crash. And I found out I also wake up craving more sugar and salt when I wake up. I would eat in the middle of the night when I wake up.
Yeah.
Most people do
See
too.
that a lot,
because they're having a sugar crash in the middle of the night. I said, oh, you're a diabetic. And they're like, what? I'm like, okay, get this. If you eat sugar in the middle of the day, you have a sugar crash. You won't do that. Hence why I fast in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So if I don't eat sugar in the middle of the day and I save it at nighttime, but it's wrecking my sleep, now I'm like, is the chocolate really worth it? It might taste good, but I know it won't feel good. So my palate, this connection from the brain to my senses says that chocolate's going to wreck your sleep, bro.
Yeah.
Don't do it. You're going to feel like crap tomorrow. You have 4 presentations. You have 4 talks. Like, it's not worth it.
Yes.
And then, get this. Because I stopped drinking alcohol, 13 years ago? I woke up on the couch with poor sleep from sugar crashes now. And I said, I miss sleep. I feel hungover.
Yes.
I feel exactly how I used to feel when I would drink too much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is that what was my body like when I was drinking and not sleeping?
Yes.
I was unhealthy.
Totally, 100%. And I love that you have been able to correlate that you're sharing this with others, and that hangover effect, the fact that we can both subjectively feel that and objectively point to those numbers, it can just help make the argument of the need to shift that and put the power back in, bring us back in the driver's seat versus, oh, I don't understand. Maybe I'm just not able to get good sleep, which is a narrative so many people go into.
And you said that. Now, I have to ask you, do you talk about alcohol with your clients?
Oh, yeah.
What do they tell you?
So one of the great things I would say with wearables is that, because every person we work with is required to wear the Oura Ring to participate in our program. So what do they say? Immediately, alcohol, obliterating sleep, certainly HRV. And so they've known this, certainly to be true, they would imagine. But then when they see those numbers, it's a whole other
confirmed
ballgame.
It.
Yeah.
But you can now talk to them and say, how resistant are you to giving up this alcohol now that you've seen this?
Yeah.
Do they change their approach?
Often they do, because at the point when they're coming to me, they're pretty ready.
They're smashed.
Yeah, they're ready. But I think what's available is before people get to that point that they could be bringing in, right? In the beginning, right.
So go back to the wearable device. So because of COVID, Oura, Whoop, Apple Watch says we can predict when you're having COVID.
Yeah.
Because your HRV and your numbers change.
Totally.
I literally had a guy standing in my office one time and goes, why is my HRV 19?
Yes, I've had
He
this
goes,
too.
am I
Yeah.
sick?
I
He
know.
went and tested. Sure
Yeah.
enough, he's sick.
Yeah.
He goes, I wouldn't have known.
I know.
BioStrap years ago said you can pick up a stroke before it happens based off your heart rate, your deviation, all
Yeah,
that stuff.
sure.
I was like, so you mean to tell me this wearable device on my finger and wrist is more accurate and will predict things in the future better than a doctor will?
Yeah. Ugh,
And
so
here we
wild.
are. And here we are.
I know. I remember back in 2012 or so, I was using the Zeo. This is the old school.
I remember that.
Remember that
I remember
thing?
that, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And that even, it was ahead of its time for sure. It ended up going under and
Yeah.
whatever. But so fascinating, some of the data that would come out of that. And even back then, you could see certain indications around getting sick. But now we have it so fine-tuned, to your point. Oh, so good. Okay. Did we miss anything else in your evening routine, or did we cover a lot of that?
So I will go back to Noah. I've expanded this. So
Okay.
I don't have Wi-Fi. I don't
Yes.
have internet in my room. I don't. You said the nightstand. I think
Yes.
you asked me earlier.
Yeah.
So I have books next to it.
Mm-hmm.
I have right now at the moment I have the Holy Bible King James Version because I'm going to read it front to back. I still have not. I grew up Catholic.
Interesting. Oh,
Okay.
I want to hear the
And,
report back.
and then right
What
next to
were you
it is the Frank Miller's Dark Knight of Batman.
Oh my God, my husband would love this.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to read it.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
And then next to that is a coaster of like, I don't know, Tom York or Johnny Cash or Bob Marley. I have a nightstand. I have a crystal. I have my actual watch. And I have like a little Buddha picture.
Yeah.
And my wife on her stand, she has like a white noise machine and lots of crystals and books and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So to me, my bedroom is my sanctuary.
Yes.
Like seriously, it's my fortress. And I put things in there that soothe my soul. Like literally the Holy Bible and Batman right next to my bed. I mean, most people
Soul
get up out of bed and they look straight at their phone.
Yeah.
So I have Brain Tap next to my bed.
Oh,
I have
I
a
do too. Yeah.
I have a sound
Twins.
bowl.
Yeah. So
My
good.
my kids do Brain Tap before they go to bed. But I don't use Brain Tap for sleep. I use it to wake up.
Oh, love it. Yes.
So you think about what do I need in order to function in the daytime? I'm not looking at my phone for because you said what do I do before
Yeah,
bed?
Sure.
My morning routine is part of my nighttime routine.
Yeah.
So I don't get up and look at my phone for 30 minutes from when I wake up. I try to see how long I can go because there's no text message or email that's important that's going to ruin my day that I need to wake up and just look at my
Yeah.
phone. Nor do I go and drink coffee. I don't drink coffee, but I don't get up and drink caffeine right away. And that changed too because I found out that wrecks your sleep at night the quicker you get up and drink coffee in the morning.
Yes. So many important tweaks that we can keep bringing in, layering in, and seeing the results. Is it serving us, not serving us, and clearly serving?
Yep.
Okay, so, and it sounds like you've already painted a bit of a picture of your morning routine. Is there anything else we're missing there?
You know, that's a good start.
Yeah.
I would say you have to take supplements. Like it's just, you don't
Yeah,
necessarily have to take
sure.
it for sleep, but
Yeah.
the B vitamins, the phosphatidylcholine, the Bliss, like
Yes,
something. Just take that. Yeah.
Totally. Okay. And then previously you had mentioned too the requirement of the morning light exposure piece. Is there anything specific you do with that, or?
So I like sunrises.
Yeah. Same.
My kids walk to school with me. I get to see the sunrise. And to me, I go outside, I have this garden in the backyard, I have a water fountain, I have wind chimes. I go and try to ground if I can and touch the grass with my bare feet, which
Yeah.
we don't,
Yeah.
but I miss it. So one thing I always do is I put classical music on in the morning. Mozart, Bach, I'm getting ready, the kids are getting ready, we're taking all our vitamins in the morning. And honestly, it's like I have to downregulate my nervous system before my day starts.
Yeah.
My whole idea of my whole lifestyle based off of sleep is don't be stressed out to the point where you can't fall asleep again at night.
Yeah.
That was
definitely.
10 years ago for me. I'm not
Sure.
going back.
Yeah, same. Oh, the resolve is there, totally. And I love the classical music piece. I'm going to do that tomorrow morning.
Nice.
Okay, very
Nice.
nice. And then the third question is about that nightstand. You already addressed some of that beautifully. Was there anything else in the environment that we missed?
So I definitely say turn the lights down.
Yeah.
I don't have a TV in my bedroom.
Okay.
That's been
yes.
out for years.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things for my sleep.
Right.
And I used to sleep with the TV on
Yeah,
when I was in
so
college.
many people.
Oh my God,
yes,
it's
it's like
over.
such a comforting thing
Yeah.
for so many people. Yeah.
The last thing I'll know is your sound. So like I said, my wife has a sound machine with
Yep.
ocean waves, and then we have a fan in the background. I can't sleep without that now. Like
yeah,
just
so
that white
primed.
noise, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, like your bedroom is not necessary for furniture as so much as for you to finally like say, this is the one place in the world I can be completely relaxed and fall asleep. And when you finally are relaxed, like your belly relaxes, like your eyes are closed, you're not worried about someone getting or doing something to you.
Yes.
And that's why I think people don't ever want to leave their bedroom when they get depressed, right? They don't want to leave their bedroom. They want to stay. They want to eat in bed. It's comfort.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I had someone today or yesterday tell me they like weighted blankets because it makes them feel warm inside. And I said, oh, how's your relationship with your parents? And she goes, oh, I don't have one. I said, oh, so
well,
you like
you
feeling
go.
the womb.
Yes.
It's like, yes.
Womb, like, totally.
So
that
how
safety.
much trauma?
Yeah.
I only feel comfortable in my bed. I'm not getting out and facing the world today because I don't have it.
Oh,
so to get up
man.
and then leave, like, so the last thing, there's a YouTube video circulating by Colonel McCraven, UT alumni. He gave a commencement speech. He goes in his whole uniform, his admiral uniform, or whatever I think it is. Sorry, military. I'm not familiar with it. But he goes, there's one thing you can do every day.
The make your bed one?
Make your bed one.
Yes.
So every day in the morning,
good.
I wake up, I make the bed.
Yes.
Like it's a non-negotiable.
Ugh.
And I just feel so much better.
You know, I don't think a single person has actually mentioned that on this podcast. I think there's been, I don't know, 170 or something episodes. Really? And I don't know why no one's mentioning
Make your bed. Make
people.
your bed.
Yes. Have a win right out of the
gate.
Okay. It's so good. And the last question, which I think we might have addressed some of these, but if there's any kind of things to round out. So far to date, what would you say has made the biggest change to the management of your sleep game? Or said another way, maybe biggest aha moment in managing your sleep?
For what it's worth, the do not disturb on my phone.
Oh,
I didn't put that on there. Just the update did.
It's like appeared.
It's just that. So I noticed with work.
Yeah.
Same deal. Like it'll just come on. Like don't be bothered.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my phone put a barrier up for me.
Yeah, I have the permission to be off.
Yeah. And so when I see the do not disturb come on at 10, I'm like, okay, let's wrap it up. So to me, I used to be like, oh, it's midnight. Now it's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
Like that's how my mentality was. Now
Totally.
and now it's like 10 o'clock. Why am I not in bed already? And so if you say, what's the one thing you go back and tell your younger self?
Yes.
Everyone always asks me, I would say, go to bed earlier.
Oh.
That's it. I would tell my 6-year-old self, go to bed earlier.
Wow, same. That is so good. I love that. Okay, so certainly people listening are going to want to know how to be more a part of your world, follow you, be a part of the things that you're doing as far as, I know you've got communities and you've got all kinds of things. So what are the best ways to do that all and more?
NurseDoza.com. It's Doza. And then our podcast is The School of Doza. We have an online school called The School of Doza. And if you find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Nurse Doza, and there's all the links there. If we look at nursedoza.com, it's a template and playbook for how I got healthier. All the things that are on there are what I preach, and it's what I practice. And I tell all my clients, just go to nursedoza.com and start following the links. And whatever accountability and support you need, there's something there. If not, I can refer you to a friend who has a wonderful sleep podcast that could help you there, because I'm not the expert on it. But then I also say, like, just make sure you take care of your liver.
Yeah.
You know, so if Nurse Doza, you find him online, it's because the liver, like I was talking about the liver.
So good. Oh, well, thank you so much for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
I am excited to continue to learn more from you, and I so appreciate you taking the time to share your wisdom. It means a lot.
I'm honestly happier that we did this in person than the
Me
Zoom,
too.
right?
Yes.
Much better. So thank you.
I am so grateful as well.
Thank you.
Yay. Fantastic. Thank you.